What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 8 of my poker vlog. I know it's been very late since I've posted. It's been a while, but I promise that won't happen again. We're gonna start getting back on it. We're gonna be consistent. I've just had a lot lately on my plate, so it's been a hassle, but it's fine. We're gonna get back on it. We're gonna be consistent, and we're gonna get these videos out for y'all for sure. So furthermore, today we're gonna be heading out to San Antonio, and it's gonna be a Rounders Card Club. As you can see right here, Rounders. I don't know if you can see Rounders Card Club. Yeah, it's a very awesome room. Very nice tables. Everything's really nice. But the main reason we're gonna be out there is because Andrew Nemi, Brad Owen, and Johnny Vibes are gonna be out there for the meetup game. And man, do those things get packed. So basically it's they go to cities around the whole US and they just meet up for poker games, and there people show up. It gets pretty packed. The first day it's gonna be a 5-5 cash game, all 5-5 cash game. They'll probably have like 1-1-2 table, but usually more people are gonna go for the 5-5 game. I know I'm gonna play the 5-5 game. It's gonna be one of the biggest games I'm gonna play in a long time. So hopefully that goes well. And day 2, they're gonna be there. It's gonna be for the tournament, $200 tournament. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So furthermore, let's head out over there to Rounders and hopefully we stack someone or even make their vlogs. Let's see what happens. All right, let's go.
Stereophonic sound for the home is recorded on 2 separate tracks, each one giving special emphasis to certain sections of the orchestra, as heard from those positions. Now, when played back simultaneously on 2 separate systems, the sounds are blended together to achieve a new dimension in sound, impossible to obtain in a monaural recording.
In this next hand, we're under the gun with the greatest hand in the game of poker, pocket aces. And we're playing 2500 behind. It's one of our first hands. So we raised 35. Player behind us calls. He's a very aggressive player. Player on the button calls as well. The blinds fold, so we go 3 ways to a flop. The flop comes out Jack, 5, deuce, rainbow, and we're first to act. So I think it's just better if we just check. I think C bet under the gun. It's pretty obvious we have a hand. So the dealer bets 40, we call, and then the aggressive player re-raises us to 180, goes back to the button, he folds, and I call. So we're going heads up to the turn. The turn comes the 7 of clubs, and it's just I still feel like we're in the lead here. So we're gonna check, give him some rope so he can hang himself. Bets 400, and I make the call. Still heads up, going to the river. Brings the 4 of diamonds. I still think we're good, but we're gonna check one more time, once again, see if we can get some value from him. He bets 300. I call, and he says, "Sorry, dude, I got lucky on the river. Jack 4, 2 pair. We had him all the way. Oh well." In this hand, we look down at Queen Jack offsuit. We're in the cutoff with about 2,000 behind. It goes to the player under the gun with about 1,200 behind, and he raises the 20, and it folds all the way around to me, and we decide we just want to 3-bet in the spot to eliminate the players behind us and try to make it heads up to the flop. So we make it 75. So we go heads up to this flop of ace queen 3 with a flush draw on the board. And quick note on this player, he's actually been playing relatively pretty tight and hasn't really tried getting out of hand or anything like that. So I'm still gonna try to play aggressive in this hand and take it down if we can on the flop, but with caution as well. So he checks, and I lead out for a bet of 55, and he actually thinks about it for a while, debating on actually re-raising, because I was seeing him reach for more chips, but he just ultimately makes the call. So then we're gonna go heads up to a turn. And by him wanting to re-raise on this flop, it'd probably be with anything like ace queen, ace king, any ace containing 2 clubs, just so he can try to take it down on the flop. But by him just making the call, I guess he just wants to stick around. So we go heads up to a turn, and it comes the 7 of diamonds, and this is actually not that bad of a card for us. It just ultimately depends on what he's gonna do here, the line he takes, and he actually decides on a check, and we're contemplating on whether to check back or bet, but I feel like a check back just makes us look too weak here, and we want to make sure ourselves look as strong as possible. So we lead out for 115, and he tanks for a good 2 minutes, debating on either to call, raise, or fold. I think he was actually leaning more towards a raise again, but he just flat calls, so it's pretty scary. I feel he is on a big ace with that flush draw. So now I'm thinking I'm actually gonna have to get lucky on the river, because man, he's just been calling every single bet, flop, turn, and well, now the river is one of the most money cards in the deck for us. We bink a queen, and we hit trips on this beautiful board. So now actually that flush doesn't come in. His ace king is probably good. In his mind, he's thinking, wow, it's like a perfect card for us. He could have actually put us on a flush draw, and since it just missed, like, it just so like bluffy for me, and I actually do what a bluff bet would do here. Not really much of an overbet, but I make it 320, and he just completely like sighs in utter belief, and he's like, oh my god, that's so sick. Like, what would you bet so much with on this flop? And this is what he was telling me during the hand, and he goes deep and deep into the tank. He thought about this for a good while, probably for like 3 to 4 minutes. And I'm just hoping I'm like perfect. Like, this is like a perfect card for me. I think I actually had to get lucky, which I did. And he just keeps thinking about it, man. It's so tough. Like, even I would put myself on a flush draw. And then betting it this way just looks like I missed my flush draw, and I'm just trying to out bet him out of the hand. So he's actually like, wow, like at this point I remember him telling me like, just so sick, like I have not seen you bluff all day today. And I was actually kind of semi-bluffing during this hand, but I got lucky. But I just feel like he has a big ace, so he's probably gonna call me most of the time. Like it's gonna be hard for him to fold, and if he does fold, I guess I was like too wrong, and he just had like a ace like 5 or ace rag, but we got him to fold. I mean, I actually wanted to call, man. I could have sworn my bet looked pretty bluffy, but it's fine. We'll take this pot. It's pretty good. In this hand, we got a straddle going on for $20. It's the player on the button. He's got about 600 behind, and he's been playing pretty loose this whole session. So we're looking to stack him. And we look down at ace king of hearts in the cutoff. It folds all the way around to me. And we decide on a raise here, and we make it $75. And it goes back to him, and he's the only one that calls. So we're gonna actually be going heads up to this next flop. So we get actually a pretty good flop. It comes deuce 4 king rainbow. We couldn't ask for anything more beautiful. And we get a pot of 160, and we're first to act here. So we're gonna lead out, and we're gonna make this $80 to go. So the action is now on him, and after he tanks about it for a good while, he's debating on making a move, and I can see it in his eyes. I know he's just trying to get me off this hand, trying to bully me. So sure enough, he re-raises me to 250, with leaving himself with a little bit quite behind. I was asking a dealer if he had any blacks behind him. I couldn't really see, but he had a little bit left. So this is a clear just jam all in. So we just shove it in there, and we go all in, and he snap calls us. And the turn bricks out nothing. It's like a 3. And the river, it's another like deuce. So we take it down. In this next hand, we're actually going to be playing against the one and only Mr. Johnny Vibes. So we get pocket 10s in the small blind. So the player under the gun raises a 30, which is Johnny, and it goes to the button, and he decides on a call. And we're just totally out of position, and especially against a great player, we just can't flat here. So we're actually gonna make this a 130, especially since we're out of position. We don't want the player on the button calling too light, or also to see Johnny's range. He could really be opening pretty loose, especially under the gun. He usually should have a tighter range, but I noticed he hadn't played a hand in a while, and he looked kind of frustrated. So he was kind of I guess just playing probably like pseudo connectors in the spot. So we go heads up to the flop. And it comes ace 8 6 with 2 diamonds, and this is actually not that bad of a flop, not too good either. It usually does connect with our 3 betting range, but I just feel like he connected better with this range, so I check and he checks it back. So the turn brings the 2 hearts, which I don't think should really be helping him that much. So I lead out here for $80, and he makes the call. So the river brings the 3 hearts, which I don't think should be really helping him that much. I'm really putting him on like a weak ace, but not really that much. More like something like 7s, an 8, or a 6. So what we're gonna do here is called a blocker bet. We're gonna lead out for $80, hoping he just folds or calls. That way we don't get re-raised. And we're gonna show you his comments on my bet right now.
It's so stupid because you have like queens all day.
Calls. You're good. I got 10s. Tables 10s. Thought you had me.
I just can't fold for that price.
What'd you have?
I had a pair just under that.
9?
Good,
I bet anymore you fold, right?
yeah, that's why I said it was good.
I did a more of a like blocker.
That's why I'm like, it's so stupid. Like, if you ever have a bluff, it's just like the stupidest fold.
Raise it up. Yeah. Flip for 20.
Well, I had a grand, but I had to know. I played tight for mostly an hour, but then I made a score.
Wired aces or kings?
Rags. I had nothing, but he raised, and I decided, I don't care about the money. I'm gonna outplay the guy. I'm gonna outplay the guy this hand. So I re-raised.
Re-raised.
And he just came right back over the top and tried to bully me like some kind of tourist. So I raised. He looked at his checks, he looked at me, he looked back at his cards, he looked back at me, and he mucked. He laid it down. Did you have it? I'm sorry, John. I don't remember. I got up and I went to the cashier. I sat down with the best in the world, and I won.
You made a move on Johnny Vibes. Crazy move.
In this next hand, we're looking down at pocket jacks in the small blind with 3,500 behind, and we got a straddle going on for 25, and we're actually debating on what move to make because the opponent under the gun +1, he raises a 75, and it's going to be folded to me here, and especially being out of position a small blind. But pocket jacks is tricky to play, especially against this player. Like, he's been actually playing really good, so it's been hard to put him on hands, but we're just gonna decide on making the call. Flop comes ace 10 ace with a flush draw. This board is actually pretty scary. Of course the ace always has to come out when we got pocket jacks. Anyways, we're gonna be checking it over to him since he was the initial better, and we're just gonna see what he does. So he actually led out for 115, and we make the call. We're not going to be folding to 1 bet here. So let's see what happens on the turn. So the turn brought another 10, and just in case his ace wasn't that good, it got a little bit better. But we check it here, and he checks it back. Pretty interesting. Let's see what happens on the river. So the river is kind of favorable. Brings a jack, giving us a full house as well, but we're still losing to the ace. But just the way he played it, I don't think he's really checking back an ace full house on the turn. So I think he had either that spade draw or he had like queens or kings in that spot. And sure enough, he did have queens, and he showed them. So we kind of got lucky there on the river, but I'm surprised he folded. It was pretty crazy, but yeah, we take this one down. In this next hand, it's a very interesting hand we're about to play. We're under the gun +1 with 10-9 of diamonds with 3,500 effective. And yeah, we look down at a very beautiful hand right here, and so we're gonna lead out and we're gonna race at $30. And the player right behind us, man, this guy has been super aggressive, maybe a little bit too aggressive the whole night, and he's just been raising everything to 75 pre-flop no matter what. So we're gonna make the call here, and we're gonna go heads up to a flop. So the flop comes out, and it's 9-3-3 rainbow. It's pretty good flop for us. We get a top pair, pretty decent kicker, and we got a backdoor flush draw. And we're gonna lead out into him here because he just calls everything you bet, no matter what he has, which is a little scary, but it's also good. So we might as well start getting value out of this hand. So we're gonna lead out here for $250, and he's gonna think about it for a while, and he's just very like anxious to call, already asking the dealer how much it is. He ends up making the call, and we go heads up to the turn. So the turn brings the deuce of diamonds, just making our hand even way better. Brings us also a flush draw with our top pair and pretty good kicker. And we just want to end this spot already. We just want to take it down. We're not here to mess around. So we lead out for a big bet of $500. And we're just hoping he like folds, because we don't want to mess around with this guy too much already. He's just very like a random player. It's hard to put him on hands. He plays every hand from 2-7 to aces. So we just want to get over this pot and just take it down. Hopefully he folds to this big bet. But surprisingly, very surprisingly, he makes the call, and we go to the turn, to the river. So the river brings the 6 of spades. Our flush doesn't get there. So we do a blocker bet for 125, just hoping for him to call and not re-raise us. And that's what he ends up doing. He calls us, and to our surprise, we're good. Oh, thank God, man. That hand was so stressful. That was the biggest pot I've played the whole night. Like, it was a lot of money. And he told us he had ace high. He called us with ace high. But we'll take it down, I guess. In this next hand, we're looking down at King 8 offsuit in the small blind with 3,700 effective. So we got a button straddling for $15, and it folds all the way around to the player in the cutoff. He makes the call, I make the call in the small blind, and the big blind makes the call as well. So we go 4 ways to the flop. So the flop comes Queen 6 Jack rainbow, and since we're first to act here, we really didn't hit anything. We're just gonna check here, and it checks around to the player in the cutoff, and the button folds, and it's back on us. So here we're gonna try to get creative, and we're gonna actually make a call and look to turn this hand into a bluff, just because the player that made the bet has respected us very much and usually has been folding to all our calls or even re-raises. So I don't recommend you do this play often, only when you're very respected, and it should work out most of the time. So the turn brings the Jack of diamonds, pairing the board with the backdoor flush draw, and it actually makes the board a lot wetter. So he leads out for 80 here after we had checked first to act, and we just feel that this is the time to take it down and re-raise him. So we're gonna re-raise to 230, and as you can see right away, after we make the initial bet, he snap folds. So my read was right on him. He was fairly weak, and he did respect us after we have been playing fairly good and tight the whole night. So we take down this pot with king high. In this next hand, we look down at 10-9 offsuit in the small blind with about 4,000 effective behind. So it's gonna fold all the way around to the player in the hijack, who's gonna make a raise to $20, and it's gonna fold around to us. And before we're debating on what to do, this player, he's actually a very good player, very aggressive, and he's actually folded some pretty good hands to us. So we're gonna see if we can make a move on him here. So, and we're just gonna call, and we're gonna see, hopefully we get a decent flop so we can, in order for us to make our move. So the flop comes King, Jack, 7, Rainbow. Pretty interesting flop. We're actually gonna check in this spot. We flopped the double gutter and he leads out for 75. A little bit of an overbet, but we do have a double gutter. A queen or an 8 makes us a straight. So we're gonna see if we can push him off on the flop, any of the hands he has. And in case we do get called, I mean, we still have good equity going to the turn and river. So we're gonna actually re-raise him here to 175. It's just a little micro re-raise, not too much more from a call. It's only gonna be $100 more. And I actually preferred for him to call here because we still have good odds for hitting our straight on the turn. If not, we still got the river. And we can still play it fairly aggressive, either here on the flop like we did right now. If not, going to the turn, if we don't hit, we can still maximize and put more pressure on him. But he doesn't decide to party with us, and he makes the fold, and we take it down that easily. And that's another one for us. Don't do it, no. Oh, he faded it. And the 9 plays.
Again, guys.
Again.
Story so far. Consistent.
Okay, sometimes you got doing like a for the night, like sometimes it's like this. Like on a random weekday.
That's it. You're gonna be here overtime. I'm gonna be here until 6 a.m. They're gonna leave the poker room open just for me.
No, like,
Let's go. Everyone on the flush draw, come on in. Let me know. Sir, come on, sir. Spurs. Do it for the Spurs, sir. Do it for the Spurs.
Multiple players in the hand, sir.
Huh?
You can't talk when there's...
Do it for the Spurs? I can say it. To do what? I'm not even talking about poker. already all in, right? Ready to move?
You got a new vlogger over there?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Flush. Oh, check. Can't win unless you bet.
No way. Oh,
You made the vlog.
you did. What's up, man? What's going on?
Check out YouTube tomorrow when you go home. Give him a couple.
You just like giving it away, huh?
Yep. Come on, man. What's that? To the river. King Jack, no good. Show the King Jack, please. For the video. Don't blur your face. He's talking so much, he has to keep bluffing. But he's doing the rest of cards now, so now I don't know what to do. Think out loud for the vlog. We can also distort your voice too. You go all in and fold. Show the change of King Jack or Pocket Jack? One of those two. Pocket Forest. Pocket Forest, the sickest. Hollywood. Yeah, Rounders Card House. Pocket Forest, dude. Imagine. Dude. Don't let me talk you into it, man. Don't let me talk you into it. Just ignore me and do what you're gonna do originally, like if I didn't even talk. Because if not, you're gonna mess up. You're gonna have to do you and me. Clock. Clock. Door. Clock. He's making me nervous. I need him to act already. Please. Make me nervous. I do so. You had a your Thursday. sure he's safe. The clock's gonna run out before you even get the movement for sure. Like Phil Helmet says it, I got this one, I got the next one. Let's go, fam. Remember the you're thinking of that clip with Jason Mercer, right, where the guy stands up and actually has it.
Fucking sick. You fucking talk too much.
Alright guys, so that's gonna be the end of this video. Hope you all liked it. I'm starting to get I think hopefully good at these videos, starting to update some new tricks and stuff like that, adding more content to it, just making it overall better for everybody. Hopefully y'all enjoy it, and I will see you all next time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave that thumbs up and click the little bell for the notifications. Till next time. All right, peace guys, later.